Evening, everybody. It's 5:40, and this is your closing comment video number 1490 for this Tuesday afternoon. Okay, so as my friend Dennis likes to remind me, that when you're in a bear market, anything that can go wrong will, and that's pretty much what's going on now. We had the market opening lower on the yen and the UK talking about their interventions. So we opened down, and frankly, the market was very, very oversold. We turned back to the upside. The Dow was up as much as 400. And then in the middle of the afternoon, we had another comment from Great Britain that the pension funds that they've been helping by buying those long-term gilts, which ends on Friday, needed to get themselves rebalanced by Friday. And that took the market down. The Dow closed up $36 after being up 400 and down about 200. NASDAQ did not have a big up day. It got into the green, but it finished down 116. The point is that things go wrong. Things go wrong in the best of circumstances. So when you get to be the worst of circumstances, let's remember that the biggest market in the world is Forex, which is currency, and the interplay between those currencies. And it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Japan hasn't grown in 40 years. Why? They never marked to the market. They constantly intervened on their currency, and they're fiscally irresponsible, as we are here, as they are in the UK and the Eurozone. Let's remember that it isn't that long ago that the German Bund and most of the other Euro countries had negative interest rates. So, great, I'll pay you 0.5% to hold on to my money. In any event, this is a huge problem. It's going to get worse. And, the cavalier attitude of the Fed that we'll do whatever we have to do and we'll raise until we break something. Get a clue, guys. This goes back to my narratives commentary on Sunday, which was entitled, "Weren't You Listening?" Clearly, none of these people are listening. It's a real abomination. And the biggest problem, of course, is social. There are huge social problems. The differentiation between the very rich and the very poor. All of these things are a real problem, and they're getting worse. Okay, so enough of the happy talk. S&P was down 23 and change, 0.65. The Russell was basically unchanged, up $1. Transportation's basically unchanged, up 422. But what was also interesting here is that the volume really expanded today. We were looking at 3.9 billion shares yesterday. Today we did 4.6. That's a 25% increase. On the Dow, we had 18 up and 12 down. On the plus side, we really only had two stocks that really performed today. One was Amgen, adding 87 Dow points, and the other was Walmart, clearly a defensive issue, adding 22. On the downside, though, we had Goldman Sachs down 42 Dow points, Microsoft down 25, Verizon and CRM, Salesforce, each down 21. So, not a great day. We also have new lows across the board on some very important stocks. Square, new 52-week low. Marvell, down from 50 to 38. And I'm talking about in the last 4 days, not in the last 4 months. Qualcomm, down from 127 to 108, 16%. I mentioned that one yesterday. And INFO, which is the Information Technologies ETF, it was down 2% today, um, but it's down 10% in the last 4 days. JP Morgan down 12% in the last 4 days. Pardon me, 8 days. And they report on Friday. And of course, we had Peloton, which is a huge problem. I don't mean to make light of it, but the CEO was buying stock on margin. And let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it didn't bother him when it went from 170 to 100. But when it went from 92 to 55, let's say that's where he got concerned and started buying it around 50. And I can see why he'd want to do that. And today we closed at $8.78. So just after the first 120 to the downside, it's still down from 50 to 9. Let's make it 10 because the number works so much easier. That's 80%. And you know what happens when you don't meet a margin call? They give instructions to the margin clerk to sell any and all stock in your account at the market. So there's kind of an overhang there, you might say. Um, Netflix was down 6.8% today. Let's remember how great everyone thought Netflix was going to be when they started talking about their new ad financed service. In the last couple of days, 245 to 215. That's 14% in my book. So, we have some real problems here. I'm not saying that we're not going to have a rally. Clearly, we are. But again, bear market rallies very fast, very sharp. They come out of nowhere, and that's just how they disappear. In the futures today, we had the grains primarily down. Wheat was down 37, but it was up 61 yesterday. This is the way that futures trades, and I think that most of these things are getting ready to accelerate back to the upside. Energy was slightly lower. And I say slightly because the oil was down $1.78, but heating oil was up, gasoline was up, although only minorly, and nat gas was up. By the way, there's a posting on Discord and will be on the front page of this letter. There was a new 2 Minutes with Suki today. Gold up 10 after being down 34 yesterday. Silver down 13 cents. Not really a problem there. I think you're going to see that reverse back up. Copper up 3 cents. Platinum up 330. Palladium, which nobody really, 165,000 contracts of gold and 1,200 contracts of palladium. So not a lot of action there. Meats continue to edge higher. The softs, cotton up a little. Coffee up a little. Not much in sugar, and up 26. Now, lumber has moved off the low from last week at 400 to 478. 20% move. 400 contracts traded, so not great. The S&P, as I said, the futures were down the same way that the stocks were down. The dollar index was up. Bonds actually were up, which is kind of a surprise. Usually, or lately, it's been bonds down, stocks up because of interest rates. We did get a whole dollar lower, so we were down a half a buck. But, all of a sudden, it's a flight to safety. And Bitcoin and Ethereum both lower. Have a good evening, everyone. I'll be back in the morning. Just be careful. Keep position size